So long as like alchemy.
All right, big status going into this game was the health of Andre Iguodala and Klay Thompson. Andre Iguodala would not suit up. Klay Thompson would. Early on, Harden in the classroom, you reach, you know he's finna to teach left-hand hammer at the rim. Look at the extracurricular, though, after. That's what that early shove was in game one. But you see Draymond rarely breaking the rules of the game and reaching, and he gets exposed at the rim for it early on. Golden State and Durant tried to push the pace, and Durant was ultra-aggressive offensively, but didn't really have a rhythm, and the early sloppy turnovers benefited Houston greatly, but they couldn't capitalize at the three-point line. This man, Klay Thompson, could. And it was an even game at the half, and then Chris Paul woke up. I don't think he hit a field goal in the first half of this game, and he went to work. It was solid defense from Golden State, but he was willing the ball in from behind the arc, carrying the load for Houston offensively as James Harden was nowhere to be found. Take another look at it, and then taunting the chef with his own move. He said, "God don't like ugly, keep watching." Steph would have an answer, as you're going to see him hit one of his 6 threes off the high screen and roll. But if you watch the game, the stats don't do it justice. It seemed like Steph was much more passive than the numbers suggest. Chris Paul double clutching the three in his former teammate's face. It didn't matter. And it just felt like it was Houston's destiny to get this one, as you see JJ Twat and Justin Timberlake courtside. Damn, did I say that? Eric Gordon cooking, the look off and the finish at the glass, 24 points for EG. Once again, down the stretch, Golden State struggling to execute from their 2 MVPs, and it's Draymond forcing the issue. 13 rebounds on the night, gets the tip in, keeping them within striking distance under 2 minutes, and it's ISO ball on Steph. Harden, he's going to get left. The help chooses wrong. Eric Gordon, another one. Once again, Golden State going to a stagnant ISO set down the stretch, and it's Durant in the mid-post. He swings it to Cook, who, yeah, he's in the game, and it's Draymond Green with a clutch gene. Hasn't hit a 3 since game 2, knocks one down with 1:15 remaining. Chris Paul dominated this second half going against Quinn and comes up lame with the hamstring, y'all. Not going to say much. Golden State gets out and pushes. Kick to the corner. And yeah, without Iguodala, Kerr deep into the bench. You saw Quinn Cook in there down the stretch for another shooter, but take a look at Chris Paul. He's had several hamstring issues during the season, and we all know what that means. If you've had that happen before, you know the bite on that. So Chris Paul goes to the bench, distraught over the thought of what's to come, and Curry at the top. Here comes the pick and roll. He's going to go, but not getting the separation you expect. It goes off glass, the bat out, and Houston secures the ball with just 10 seconds left in a 1-point game. But the Warriors, man, it seemed like they had every opportunity to steal this on the road. Ariza misses the free throw, and what? Kerr decides to call a timeout. Identical situation to the night before. They call the timeout. What is he going to draw up? Who's going to take the shot? Inbound to Steph. He anticipates the trap, pushes to Draymond, and he coughs it up for the 16th turnover of the night, his 6th. And the Houston Rockets go up 3-2 in this series. And they did not shoot the ball well on this night, but they executed down the stretch and got the win. Wow, man. Hey, this is the NBA playoffs, man. This is the NBA playoffs. This is a crazy game. This was a crazy game. So initially, it was kind of like a reverse in roles, I feel like. Houston started off better, but somehow at the half, Golden State was right there. It was a tie game. And it really felt like Golden State fans, I'm sure it felt like we've dodged a bullet, right? The Houston shot like 25% from the 3-point line. And there was just a lot of sloppy plays. There was turnovers early on that were very discouraging, right? And Durant was a little bullish, a little hard-headed, trying to be the alpha ISO player. There was a nice sound bit of Kerr kind of explaining to him, get the guys the shot early on, trust them. Right? Don't Westbrook them. You've experienced that. Don't give it to them at the last second. Give it to them and trust them early. But again, I'm not going to ever fault somebody for over trying. I have a bigger problem with not trying, not being able to risk it or try and go for it. And, you know, Steph, I haven't looked at the numbers. I haven't. But I don't have an answer to why. To my eyes, Steph looks healthy. Okay, so it's not that in my eyes. But he continues to defer to Kevin Durant. How many possessions did he come down the court, dribble the ball, and then just give it to Durant? Now, I don't know if that's what's being called. I don't think it is. The 2-time MVP, the face of the franchise, can audible the call and pull up. or go if he likes something. But he just didn't do it nearly enough in this game. And it's just troubling. It's troubling that whoever switches on him, he doesn't even, not that he doesn't take advantage, he doesn't even try to take advantage of them, right? And that's what you're seeing, that ISO pick and roll with Paul and Harden. They're clearing out and breaking down and compromising our defense every time off of that. And on paper, you would say Curry and Durant could do the same thing. Now, they're not running the high pick and roll with Durant. They're letting him catch it, trying to let him catch it on the elbow, and it's not working. He's getting bodied. They're doubling. He's not passing out soon enough. So they need to go away from that. It needs to be more spread or get him in motion. Him catching it set, flat-footed, it's not working. But Curry, again, I don't have an answer why, and he has an opportunity to redeem himself. But when Chris Paul is shimmying on you and you crack a smile, you know, I've been particularly hard on Steph, but he got punked, right? And he didn't really answer the bell. Now he has every opportunity in the world to do so. Will he against Chris Paul? I don't know. But Steph needs to be more of an aggressor. If he goes 0 of 10 in the fourth quarter, I'm not going to kill him. Hey, at least he tried. But he's just not as aggressive as I would like him to be. And I don't know why the offense isn't running more through him. If that's not his decision, then whoever's decision it is, Steve Kerr, you need to change that. Now, David West, Quinn Cook, Jordan Bell all played. The bench was deepened, right? And David West, his stint in the first half, those second quarter minutes, I really felt like it kind of had a calming influence on the offense. All of a sudden, we got back into our motion. We got a couple easy looks, and he had a calming presence in this high-pressure circumstance on the road. And so Kerr gambled in the fourth quarter, and it didn't pay off, right? That's where those first 4 or 5 minutes, really the whole fourth quarter, but that's where you really miss Iguodala on those switches. And then they went to Looney, and Paul hit a couple ridiculous shots. You got to credit him, man. He has the heart of a warrior. Does that fit? No, the heart of a champion. He ain't won yet. It ain't over yet. But, I mean, he kind of willed some of those chuck shots in. And Houston, to my eyes, I don't know about y'all, but Houston, to my eyes, played harder, right? They seem to want it more. A lot of heads down. And 16 turnovers again. Like, you saw the pace early on and the mindset, but a lot of those turnovers aren't forced, man. They're not really forced. I guess you could consider the holding and the grabbing maybe forces it, but again, it was more decision-making type of turnovers. And that leads me to the end of the game, and Draymond, I'm not going to kill him for it. Draymond had a lot of hustle plays, man, and he hit that huge three. And again, I'm not going to kill somebody for effort. That was just a mistake. He wanted to go. Right? And then the shit happens. But the cost of being elite and so dominant the last 3 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever it's been for the Warriors, there's a cost to everything. Y'all know I like to say that shit, right? The cost is they're not used to tight games, right? And it's clear. It's clear. They don't know how to act in a close game down the stretch because, hell, how many have they played in the last 4 seasons? 10, 15 of them, right? And so they simply don't have the experience in those situations, and it's showing. I want to credit Kerr for calling that timeout. I almost lost my damn mind off the rebound right there before they set that up. And I want to credit him for putting Quinn Cook in and making moves, right? Because I criticized him for not doing it last game because it doesn't always pay off. Hey, Chris Paul hit some tough shots there. David West, I think, played as well as you could have asked. Chris Paul just hit some tough shots. And you saw if that Iguodala was in there in that fourth quarter, they wouldn't have been exposed like that defensively. But hey, there's a lot of ifs and buts. But I'm just saying I like that he tried something. He wasn't afraid to shift some things and draw some things up. But ultimately, I feel like Steph's aggression needs to be more. And I don't know if it's Durant's presence commanding the ball, or it appears that Steph's just lost his confidence because he just doesn't seem to be confident stepping back. Now, his step back is off his right knee, so that physical factor shouldn't come into play. I think it's up here, and he's going to have the opportunity to answer this. And the last thing I want to finish with is Chris Paul's hamstring. And, Warrior fans, it's like you rejoice. You're like, oh, my God. Like you feel like I'm keeping it a buck here, right? It feels like it breathed new life into our chances of winning this series. But you don't want that, obviously. You want it to be straight up, right? Because if Golden State somehow prevails through this and wins the next 2 games, what you're going to hear is, well, Chris Paul was hurt. But it is what it is, man. Luck plays into a lot of these championship runs. I mean, Iguodala was hurt on this night. I remember when Chris Paul came up lame on his hamstring, I think it was late in the season. It was like the final 2 weeks of the season. I did a video and I said, man, those hammies, they linger. If anybody's pulled a hamstring, you know it'll bite you. And it's something that's an ongoing problem. And it looked pretty bad, man. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But a hamstring and a water bug guard like Chris Paul, the way he plays, it'd be one thing if Capella had a strained hamstring. But for Chris Paul to play with one, I don't know at what point are you reaching diminishing returns. At some point, he's going to be a liability out there. He already has the foot problem, right? So if I were to guess right now, I haven't seen any press conferences or anything. Obviously, this is fresh cut right after the game. If I had to guess, Chris Paul could possibly be done for this series. And so a huge door, a huge opportunity, a huge stroke of luck for this Warriors team seems to happen again, man. But question would be, is Iguodala going to be able to play? Because we missed him sorely. You saw it with Looney and with West. They just continued to compromise the defense on those switches. And I will say one thing about that. If you watch the switches, because it's such a regularity now in today's NBA, you can fight. You don't have to switch that. Harden, Paul, whoever the ball handler is, they almost wait for the switch and then they initiate. So you have plenty of opportunity to not switch that and fight through several times. And I think that that's something they need to look into. You don't always have to switch that, and especially if Andre can't play. But if Andre's going to play and Chris Paul is not, I'll keep it a buck with you. It looks like the Warriors are going to somehow escape this series. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all. Hey, y'all need to go get that Boom Called It, man. Oh, it's really like gambling without risk. And what you're doing is you're picking live games, and as long as you're picking winners, your points are ranking up. Now, the top 20 each week get a cash payout. But there's a special competition going on right now. The first person to 1,000 points in a week, that's $1,000 cash in your pocket.